this up and set. I'm not sure if you can see me. And we are ready here. There it is, there's light. Hi, today we're going to be talking about the things that you need to do when you're playing games with children. And there are three really important things we're going to be talking about today. So before we get started, I would love to hear the games that you like to play in your classroom with students. So if you're here joining me live right now, I would love to hear any of those games that you play and what you think the best games for students are. That's what we're going to be talking about today. So let me introduce myself. I'm not sure. I'll try to read your comments if I see them. I think I have to, hopefully it will show me. I don't have any moderation. So if I don't answer you now because I can't figure it out, don't worry. I will go back into the comments and answer them. My name is Debora Marinas, and I'm the founder of Teach Magically. And one of the things that I love to do in my classroom is play games. Now, for those of you that don't teach kindergarten, one of the great things about kindergarten is that anything you tell them is a game they think is awesome. So you can turn anything into the game. If they're getting crazy and you want them to be quiet, I love to have everybody put their heads down, and I don't make it, that's it, you're in trouble, put your head down thing. I say, oh, put your head down, we're gonna play a game. In your mind, close your eyes, take a deep breath in and out. Think of 3 things that you want for dinner tonight, something like that. Or I love to play the game that my parents used to get us to be quiet in the car with whenever we were traveling. And yes, my mom is watching, and I wonder if she remembers doing this. She used to play a game called Don't Break the Sugar Bowl. So all you have to say is 1, 2, 3, don't break the sugar bowl, and everyone has to be silent, and no one can talk. And if you talk, make a sound or a noise, you're out. So that really helps students with their memory skills and their attention. So I don't see anybody else commenting with their favorite games. So if you get a chance, go ahead and do that. I have a few of my favorites I'll be blogging about soon, so I'll be able to link those for you. But did you know that playing games helps kiddos strengthen their ability to learn? And by playing games in the classroom with them, you are really helping them do that. It builds their minds because it enables them to be able to focus their attention. They have to control their behavior because they have to remember the rules and to play with them. And it also helps their memory because they have to remember the rules. So you're developing their focus, their attention, and their memory by playing a game. But today we're going to be talking about the 3 things to do before you ever start a game, and they're really important every time you play a game. It really develops their metacognition and gets them thinking. So you really do want to focus on this when you are playing any game with students. So what are the 3 things that I love to focus on when I'm playing games? The number 1 is really talk about the learning skills. Number 2 is discussing what you do when you win or lose. And the 3rd thing is a reflection at the end. And I do this before any game that I start. So what do I mean? Before we start any game, number 1, we're talking about their learning skills. So I start off, remember when we're playing this game, and then we talk about what your eyes have to do. So if you're playing a game where your eyes have to be closed, you talk about your eyes being closed. If you're playing a game where they have to be watching a leader, then their eyes watch the leader. So you want to talk about that. What do your eyes do? What do your ears do? What does your voice do? Your voice might have to speak, and your voice might have to be quiet. So you want to go through that with them. Your eyes, ears, voice, and body. A lot of the games I play, even if they have to move at some point, I have a spot where they have to be still. That really helps with their control and their attention. And then I always say at the end, and the most important thing is, brain thinking. And yes, it's your mind, not your brain. Your brain is your body, but that's okay. We talked about that before. Every game we play. So go through it, usually quickly. Once we play and we practice a lot, you can do that in 1 or 2 seconds. The second thing I always do before we talk about is, what do you do if you win or lose? So let's talk about winning. When you win, how does it make your friends feel if you jump around, scream, and yell? And a lot of kids will say, well, that will make someone feel sad, so we do that. So what can you do if you win? You can feel really happy inside, and you can smile, and you can show your excitement. Should you say, and I always do that, should you say, ha ha, I won, ha ha, and they always go, no. So that's a good one. Be the bad role model, and then you won't get kids that do that. What do you think in your head? You could think, or I could say to my friends, good job. I could think, wow, that was really fun. Those are the things you do if you win. But what about if you lose? And I always start off this, if you lose, do you throw yourself on the ground and scream and cry? And hopefully I get a lot of no's. If you lose, do you cry and pout and then feel miserable? And then they always say no. And trust me, there are always kids that do that. So you want to set this up before you even start playing the game. And then I say, what do you do if you lose? And a lot of times the kids can't tell you anything the first few times you play a game. So my answer always is, do you want me to tell you what I do when I lose? And some kids will say yes. Some kids will say no. You always get one that will say yes. And I say, I think in my brain, that game was really fun, even though I lost. And that's okay if I lost. I'm happy my friend won. Or I might think in my brain, that game was really fun. I'm glad I played. Maybe next time I'll win. You can think either of those things. You really want to set this up before you even start the game. And yes, if you have students that do throw a fit and cry and scream, remember the very most important thing, or I guess the best way to extinguish an unwanted behavior is to ignore it. The best thing you can do is walk away, give them no attention in that moment, and then try to pull them out with some other fun game or doing something else that they may go. I will tell you a little side note that one year I had a little boy that was so bad at losing that every time I would make him pretend he was the actor of our class, and he had to show us what he could do and pretend he was losing. And he would do the right thing every time before he started the game, and I'd say, that's great. And then as soon as he would lose, he would throw himself on the ground, start throwing things, and throw a fit. So a lot of times I knew that was coming, so I'd say, okay, we're gonna line up for recess as soon as he started. And we'd line up and go for extra recess. And that usually stopped it right away. So you really want to try to nip that in the bud. And then the very last thing that I always focus on is before we start playing the game, I'll say, when we're finished, we're going to take a few minutes just to talk about how you felt playing that game, what your brain was thinking when you played that game, anything new or exciting that you've learned. I'm trying to think what you thought about the game, any kind of those questions to really develop their feelings and their thoughts. Okay, remember, playing games is one of the most important things you can do in the classroom. And not just because it's fun, and you know I'm always about having a good time, it really helps the kiddos develop their learning skills. So you want to play games in your room, whether they're skill games or brain break games or a game just to help develop one of these important executive function skills. Anytime before you start playing the game, focus on those 3 important skills. The learning skills that have to take place, that means your eyes, your ears, your voice, your mind, your body. What do they have to do? Then how to react whether you win or lose. What your brain does, what your body does, what your mind does, all those things, win or lose, it doesn't matter. You have to set them up for that. And then the third one is really reflecting on how the game went and what worked for you and what didn't work for you, what you could do different. And that reflection is really difficult, and a lot of times you run out of time. So let me give you another little hint before it's time to go about reflection. sometimes you don't have time to have every student talk, and you know that because you run out of time. So there's a couple things you could do to help. One, you could just say, find your buddy partner, find your shoulder partner, and tell them how you felt when you played that game. And that might be the only one you get to. Or you could say, everybody think, how did it feel when you win or lost? What did your brain think? On the count of 3, whisper the answer to me. 1, 2, 3. Everybody talks at the same time. They will hear each other and they will be fine. They'll just be happy that they shared. Or sometimes you can just have them think and say, think about what you did when you won or lost. And give those few seconds to let them think. What could you do differently to help you the next time? And give them those few seconds to think. And as long as you're providing them that chance to think, as you get ready to start your next activity, you'll hear them, or you'll hear them at recess and they'll come and tell you. And I guess that's the third one. A lot of times I'll say, okay, I want you to think about that. And then when we get out to recess, or later when we're at recess, if your recess is later, I want you to come tell me if you remember. And your kids that really need to share will come to you at recess and share. And the kids that really don't will share with their friends and just play and have a good time. So remember, I am here every Wednesday. That was a quick and easy one today. If you have any questions or concerns, or you need any help in any way, you feel free to DM me. I am Debora Marinas at Teach Magically. I will be here every Wednesday to do some teacher talking, and I hope you make a promise and a challenge to play some kind of game with your students and practice and remember those 3 beginning rules. Again, think about the learning skills that have to happen. What do you do if you win or lose? And reflect on the game when you are finished. Until next Wednesday, I hope you have a magical day.